The email came in at 3:12 p.m. on a dusty Tuesday in Surulere. Ifeoma Chikere was cross-legged on her threadbare mattress, cradling a bowl of gari and groundnuts, the fan whirring overhead like it was about to give up. She tapped her cracked techno screen. The inbox refreshed. Subject: Interview invitation to Dominion Analytics. She blinked. Her heart stuttered. Dominion Analytics, as in Kola Badaiki's Dominion, the same CEO who graced Business Day covers and Forbes Africa's 40 Under 40. It had to be fake. But the signature was clean, official. The logo was real. Auntie Bisi's name appeared at the bottom. Her hands shook as she called her mother. "Mummy, dem say make I come for interviewer Dominion, Kola Badaiki's company." A moment of stunned silence. "Ewu, Ify, are you serious?" "I think so." She didn't sleep that night. She ironed her best shirt sky blue with one missing button and patched her worn black trousers. By dawn, she was on a BRT bus to Lagos Island, anxiety heavy on her chest like molu fumes. Dominion Tower rose above Marina like a spaceship. Glass, steel, and pure intimidation. At the 14th floor, a receptionist barely looked up before pointing her towards the last door. She stepped inside. Kola Badaiki stood at the window, back turned, tall in a sharp ash suit. When he turned, Ifeoma froze, his eyes locked onto hers, intense, unreadable. "Miss Chikere," he said, voice smooth as cold zobo. She nodded. "Sit. I've read your CV. Tell me what's not on it." A pause. Then, "I don't give up, even when I should." He stared for a beat, then nodded. "You start Monday." Monday morning hit like a rush hour done for. Ifeoma stood in the mirror, smoothing her plaits and whispering, "You belong here," like an incantation. By 7:30 a.m., she was back at Dominion Tower, ID badge clipped, breath tight in her chest. Auntie Bisi met her at the front desk with the efficiency of a general. "You're 5 minutes early. Good. Oga hates lateness. Follow me." The office on the 18th floor was sleek. Glass partitions, chrome surfaces, silence so thick it echoed. Dominion didn't buzz. It pulsed like a machine. Ifeoma's desk sat just outside Kola's. She opened her laptop and dove in. Email filters, calendar syncs, call schedules. Her fingers flew, her mind racing to stay ahead. By noon, Kola stepped out of his office. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. "Miss Chikere," he said. "Yes, sir?" "You misspelled consortium in the client brief. Fix it, and breathe." She swallowed. "Yes, sir." The day bled into night. By 9 p.m., the office was nearly empty, but Ifeoma remained, rechecking every document, every line. As she packed up, Auntie Bisi passed behind her and murmured, "He noticed you didn't take lunch. That's why the yogurt and gala appeared on your desk." Ifeoma blinked. He won't say it, but he sees everything. On the ride home, her body ached, but her spirit hummed. This wasn't just a job. It was survival. It was her shot. And despite the cold air and colder boss, something in her whispered she wasn't invisible anymore. 2 months in, Ifeoma moved like an engine, flawless, focused, fast. Dominion was a war zone of numbers, egos, and billion-naira deals. She was the calm in the storm. Kola Badaiki remained a mystery. He never shouted, never smiled. But with her, there was a difference. He listened. When she suggested a calendar fix during a strategy huddle, he paused, considered it, then nodded slightly. A small thing, but in Dominion, that nod was currency. And then came the glances. She'd look up from her laptop and find his eyes on her, Steady, unreadable, not boss to staff, not predator. Just watching, like he saw something he didn't expect. She brushed it off. He was her ogre. And this job? It was the life raft she'd prayed for. So when Auntie Beezy dropped a travel itinerary on her desk one Friday morning, she froze. Sorry, what's this? You're flying to Eko Atlantic with him. Investor Summit. He asked for you. Ifeoma blinked. Me. Beezy raised a brow. You'd act like say your name. No day there. The jet left from Murtala by evening. Private, luxurious, quiet. Across from her, Kola sat in a navy kaftan, flipping through a tablet. Lagos lights vanished beneath them. They didn't speak until day 3 of the trip. They stood outside the hotel ballroom after another endless investor dinner. You deserve better food than that, he said suddenly. Sir? Just Kola, he said. Join me tonight. No suits, no files. Just dinner. She hesitated. He held her gaze. Say yes. She nodded, heart stumbling, breath caught. Dinner was at a quiet rooftop restaurant in Banana Island, hidden behind high gates and vines. Candlelight flickered on the table. A saxophonist played soft highlife in the background. Kola didn't wear a suit. Just a linen shirt, sleeves rolled, collar open. For the first time, Ifeoma saw him as a man, not just a machine of ambition. You always planned all this? She asked, sipping Zobo from a crystal glass. He glanced at her. I planned success. I didn't plan what I lost to get it. She leaned in. What did you lose? He paused. The city lights reflected in his eyes. Everything that didn't fit inside this version of me. The silence between them stretched, warm, weighty. Back at the hotel, she carried his iPad to his suite. Duty, she knocked. He opened the door. He was fresh from the shower, shirtless, towel at his waist. Steam trailed from the room. Her breath caught. Their eyes locked. She handed him the iPad, fingers trembling. It slipped. They both bent to grab it. Hands touched. Electricity. Then the space between them vanished. The kiss came sudden, urgent, real. Her back hit the door as he pulled her in. There were no words, just longing, heat, release. In that room, there was no ogre, no assistant. Only 2 tired souls who forgot the world outside. By morning, reality returned. He handed her coffee in silence. We should forget it, he said. Ifeoma nodded, though her heart cracked with each word. Yes, she whispered. Just a moment. But even as she left, the weight of his gaze lingered. And deep inside, she knew some moments don't let go. Back at Dominion, they returned to their roles, cold, professional, silent. Kola never mentioned that night. Neither did Ifeoma. But things had shifted. He spoke less to her, though his eyes sometimes lingered longer than they should. Every word felt measured. Every glance, a loaded silence. And then the nausea began. First, her morning coffee made her gag. Then her favorite akara tasted like dust. She blamed stress, Lagos heat, maybe even the suya from 2 nights ago. But her body whispered a truth her mind didn't want to face. The test sat untouched for 2 days. Then, one bleary morning, she took it. 2 lines, bold, unmistakable. Her knees buckled as she sank to the bathroom floor, clutching the stick like it was a bomb. This can't be, she whispered. He said he was infertile. But she hadn't been with anyone else. She carried the truth like a storm inside her. 2 days later, she stepped into his office after hours. The glass tower was quiet, Even the cleaners had gone. Kola looked up, sensing the shift in her. "I need to tell you something," she said. "Let me finish before you speak." He nodded, slowly rising from his chair. "I'm pregnant." Silence. Total. His face drained of emotion. "That's not possible," he said, voice flat. "You told me you were infertile. But I haven't been with anyone else, Kola." He lowered into his chair like the floor had vanished. "I'm not asking you for anything," she continued. "I'm keeping the baby. But you deserved to know." A long pause. Then, quietly, "Are you sure?" She nodded. He ran a hand through his hair, voice unsteady. "Then I believe you." And just like that, against everything he thought he knew, Kola chose to stay. The city found out before they were ready. A blurry photo surfaced. Kola and Ifeoma at an OB/GYN clinic in Ikeya. It spread like wildfire. Dominion CEO's assistant expecting, from data reports to baby bump. Whispers turned to stares. Ifeoma's inbox flooded with mockery and thinly veiled insults. Someone pasted a meme of her face onto a baby bottle. She laughed at first, then cried on the BRT home. She nearly quit. But before she could, Kola called a press conference. He stood before a sea of reporters in a crisp charcoal suit, face like granite. "Miss Chikere is not just an employee," he said. "She's a woman I care for deeply. And yes, she's carrying my child. Any attempt to smear her name will be met with legal action." By the next morning, everything changed. Colleagues fell silent when she entered. Some offered weak smiles. Others avoided her eyes. That evening, as they sat in his SUV under the Lekki Bridge lights, she whispered, "You didn't have to do that." "I did," he replied. "You've never had anyone claim you publicly, have you?" She shook her head, lips trembling. "Now you do." He reached into the glove box and handed her an envelope. Inside, a sealed lab slip. "A DNA test?" she asked softly. "I trust you," he said. "But I need to know. Not for me. For him. Our son." She nodded, heart aching. Not because he doubted her, but because he finally wanted to believe in something bigger than himself. The test was done quietly at Kola's Ikoyi home, a private doctor. No press, no noise. Ifeoma sat in the lounge, eyes fixed on the Lagos lagoon, through tall windows, heart racing like Danfo brakes on wet asphalt. Kola didn't speak much, but she saw it, the tension in his shoulders, the way he gripped his phone like it was anchoring him to earth. 3 days later, he showed up at her Surulere apartment. She opened the door to find him standing there, envelope in hand, suit jacket forgotten in his back seat. No words. He stepped inside, handed her the paper. She opened it. Paternal probability, 99.9%. Her breath caught. Kola looked at her, his eyes glassy. "I'm going to be a father," he whispered. "You already are," she said. And then something broke open in him. He sank to his knees, placed his head gently against her growing belly, and whispered in Yoruba, "Oluwa, thank you." From that day, he was different. He joined her at the next prenatal visit, awkward in the waiting room full of chatting mothers. At the sound of the heartbeat, his fingers trembled. "Outside the hospital," he said softly, "you don't have to do this alone." "Are you sure?" she asked. "I've never been more unsure of anything," he replied with a crooked smile. "But I know I'm not letting you walk this path alone." And just like that, something tender began to grow between them. Not quite love. but something like home. Months passed like the tide, steady, unstoppable. Kola traded late nights for quiet mornings. He stocked his office fridge with ginger biscuits and kunu. He moved meetings around her doctor's appointments. The icy CEO became a man who asked, "Have you eaten? More than, where's the report?" When the baby kicked for the first time, Ifeoma grabbed his hand. Kola went still, then smiled, really smiled, like the world had opened. Still, the world whispered. Bloggers speculated. Socialites snickered. But Kola no longer cared. One Friday, he drove her out to his Ikorodu estate. "You need air," he said. The garden overlooked the water, wild hibiscus blooming along the path. Dinner was served under fairy lights, just the two of them. Dessert came, on the plate. No cake, just a velvet box. Kola rose to both knees. "I never planned for this," he said, "but you walked into my life and made it feel like more than a tower. You made it a home." He opened the box. Inside, a simple gold ring with a small emerald flanked by 2 diamonds. "One for you, one for me, one for him." Ifeoma's eyes filled with tears. "Yes," she whispered, 100 times, "yes." They married quietly in a lecky garden. White tents, soft talking drums, her mother in lilac lace, Kola in an agbada he never thought he'd wear. Baby Dapo, swaddled and smiling, was passed from arm to arm like blessing itself. And when they planted a young tree in the garden that evening, Kola looked at her, hands in the soil, voice low. "This was the future I didn't know I needed." Ifeoma smiled. "This was the story we rewrote."